Hello and welcome. Today we've got Ian Clark and we will be discussing iodine and magnesium raw materials and what the body really needs. Now, just before we begin, you can subscribe to our Telegram channels and to nicholasveniamin.com for my free email updates. And if you're watching this for the first time on YouTube, I will leave the link below in the description for the full interview. Ian, thank you for joining me. And how are you? And where do we begin?
So, Nicholas, pleasure to be here. Well, we can begin wherever you like to start. There's a bunch of things that have happened that have allowed us to meet together. And where I am at today at 63 years old, and what happened in the last 15 years has had a dynamic impact on what we're going to speak about today and the energy around it all. And how do you get yourself to a biological age of 25 and maintain that? So that's what we've actually come to understand.
Absolutely. Now, just before we click record, you were telling me a few things about iodine, and I was saying, you know what? I have no idea about iodine or anything to do with this. I'm actually absolutely clueless. And I was saying, you know what? Don't tell me anything yet. Let's click record so that when you do explain it, I'll naturally be curious with all these questions. So what I'd love you to do is if you could just give us a small or a reasonable presentation explaining to us what all this is about and why we need it and what form it's in and what it does and how you can get it and you know, you educate us and then naturally I'll just have those questions at the end. Is that okay?
No, that's perfect.
Yeah, Thank you so much. Yeah, sure. Please go.
So iodine, everyone has heard of iodine. It's an internationally known thing. People think about putting it on cuts. They think about hospitals. They think about disinfectants. They think about thyroid. Though all those things come to mind when people hear about iodine, but very few people know about the elemental form of it. So I2 molecular iodine in crystal form is the original start of the essence of what iodine is. Where you take it from that form, it goes into multiple different uses. There's plastics involved, there's chemical extractions, there's alcohols, iodine has skull and crossbones on most bottles for a good reason, because if you accidentally ingested a bunch of it, it could literally kill you. So everyone has a fear of iodine and a lack of knowledge of iodine. Therefore, they miss the essence of what it means and what we're going to speak about today. So the iodine, what we're speaking about today, is in a do no harm form. You can't be harmed by it. And it's in a Dalton molecule in an aqueous solution. So it's a waterborne iodine. That simply means that it's completely safe for human consumption. You can drink it. You can put it on your skin. You can nebulize it. It has multiple different functions within your body. And every cell in your body requires iodine. Every cell. Your thyroid, so everybody thinks, oh, I need iodine for my thyroid. Well, your thyroid can't use iodine. And people take pills that they say have iodine in them. Companies make products that they say has iodine in it, but it's actually potassium iodide. Potassium iodide is what you'll find in table salt. Everyone's heard of iodized table salt. And the reason that exists is because of a major problem that happened in the 1800s, where they could see people living near the coastlines had a healthier metabolism and had better brain function. And it took 60 years of research to discover why. It's because they were consuming iodide in the seafood and the kelp and the seaweeds. And that iodide goes into the body and converts to T3, T4 iodine hormones from your thyroid. So your thyroid uses iodide as a fuel, and that converts it to change like metabolism, immune system, your endocrine system for your hormonal development and your brain function. When they found out how important it was, I'm talking about the governments of the world, and they were able to alleviate the mental issues and these different goiters people were getting and endocrine problems by simply adding it to salt. Because they were like, how do we get iodine to the world? How do we get iodide in people's diets? So they knew that everyone used salt. In 1890 in Europe, it was mandated that all salt sold for the consumer had to have potassium iodide in it. In 1920, in North America, it happened over here 30 years later. I don't know why it took 30 years, maybe like we're 30 years behind Europe. But whatever that is, it was mandated in 1920. So our parents, our grandparents, they got a good dose of potassium iodide in their diet, which immediately shifted a lot of the consciousness and the mental capabilities of people. And if you look back at the early 1900s, a lot of inventions started to come around, and a lot of, better things happened on the earth because people's mental acuity went up. A lot of people who were in mental institutions were released when they were fed the iodide because their brain function was caused from a lack of iodine, which the thyroid was producing. Okay, so that's the first stage. By 1970, 1980, the medical institutions started talking about table salt being bad for you, causing high blood pressure, whatever, right? They started demonizing the salt that contained the iodide. And so people started using sea salt and Himalayan salt and whatever. And that then caused another issue, which showed up in women with, fibrosis and endometriosis, problems with their endocrine system for reproduction. They had all kinds of issues that showed up. And all of those things are eliminated when a woman has a proper amount of iodine in their system produced by the thyroid. So then the next discovery happened around 1990, where it was discovered how to change I2 molecular iodine in its crystal form into a Dalton molecule and have it blended to become one with water. And then that's an aqueous or a waterborne iodine molecule. And when you consume it, the thyroid can't use that. But it goes in, and every cell in your body has iodine in it. And it's like a remapping of your whole neurological system, because if you take a circuit board like a phone, the computers that we're talking on right now, none of those circuits could exist without iodine as one of the major elements. So it's a conductor, it's a necessary communication element. And we call them an element because it's on the periodic element table. And it's at the core base of industry even. You take a look at tires, you can't make a tire without iodine. So our body requires a certain amount. It doesn't require a lot, but every single moment of every day, you require iodine to function properly. So when you consume iodine in its raw form, in these Dalton molecules, in the purest form, it goes in and helps your body to eliminate things that aren't supposed to be there. Microbes, whatever they want to call it, whatever they want. Anything that could potentially infect your body and make it get sick, your immune system normally just comes up, goes right after it, and deals with it. That's when you're immune to things. You've got your mental immunity, your emotional immunity, and your physical immunity. Now, everyone focuses on physical immunity when really mental immunity is a big part of what we're talking about as well. But because you want to be able to filter out all the BS that comes at you. And you don't want to have fear hormones being produced because your emotional immune system is down. But we're talking today about physical immunity, so that when you consume these iodine molecules, what happens is the iodine neutralizes them. And when it's neutralized, the immune system can then scan it, the RNA or whatever it's going to scan, build the antibody automatically, because that's how, if people didn't have an immune system, we'd all be dead right away. We'd be dead of infection. But because we have very strong immune systems, we live a long time. So the longer you live is based on how powerful your immune system is. And so the iodine molecule goes in to support your body. It doesn't heal anything, doesn't cure anything. It just gives your body the elements to use, and your body's intelligence is there to use that and to use as a tool. So we just think of it as a tool, as a fuel, good fuel in your car to go down the road properly, to have a high functioning car. So the higher performance the car is, the higher performance the fuel has to be. It's the same with a high performance body. You got to have clean, very potent fuel, and you want to have it in the right amount. If you went and took some medical iodine from the shelf that has all the toxins in it and drank it, it would kill you. So it's either, you're just getting the right form at the right time in the right place in the right amount, and it completely turns on your entire body intelligence. And think of how intelligent your body is. I mean, wow, it's like the intelligence level. Your body is so intelligent, it can heal itself from a cut. It can be in a car accident and heal in 6 months completely and go back and function again. You can't do that with a car. A car can't heal itself. The car comes alive and starts up and drives down the road. But we have an automated system that is so intelligent that every microsecond, every millisecond, there are trillions of biochemical reactions happening, even to have this conversation today, that we completely take for granted because we can't think about that. We just have to accept it. And we have to feed that system with the right fuel to keep it connected. And as people get older, their brains go off and their body starts to fall apart because people don't know how to maintain their system. So over the last 15 years, I simply researched the researchers. I didn't have time to do the research. I connected with people who are at the top level of each category of the human operating systems. And what did they find? What were the top level ways of supporting you and me to have the most fantastic experience in our human bodies? Because we all want that. You want to feel good. You want to live a long time. You want to be highly functional. You want to be the best version of yourself. You want to be respected, loved, right? Understood, appreciated, heard, all those things that we want to have, each one of us. And because that makes us more valuable to the world. So the more valuable you make your body, the better your interface. So today, this is all about interface and about the glow. It's not how old your body is. The longer we're on this earth, the more intelligent we should become, and the better we should be at managing our bodies. So this is a management tool. And that was a long monologue, so I'll stop right there.
Wow. So if I was to take iodine, how long would it take for me to actually feel a difference on my day-to-day life? I mean, even my sleep or, my normal function, day-to-day function.
Now, it generally takes around 90 seconds or so to be able to feel this one because the size of it is so tiny, it goes everywhere. As soon as you drink it in your mouth, it starts to go into your cheeks, through your tongue, through your esophagus, it gets down into your tummy, gets absorbed right away. People generally feel something within a minute to a minute and a half where they can feel it surging into their system. Now, depending on how much fungus a person has in their body or how much heavy metals they have, or who knows, like everyone's in their own unique state. So they would take a little bit and see what happens, or they could take a lot if they're an adventurer. They can't harm themselves with it. So the bottle that it comes in is this 4-ounce bottle. It's called Perfect Iodine. And you could literally, this is a 4-month supply based upon the recommended daily amount by the FDA in the United States and Health Canada. If you go to Japan, the recommended daily amount is 13,000 micrograms a day. So what's with the diversity in governments? 150 micrograms versus 13,000. So if a person is very ill, they could drink 2 bottles of this to go in and start to go to work very quickly. Now, I don't recommend people to do that. People do that on their own. But the reason I don't recommend it is I don't want anyone to have an unpleasant experience or something that they are feeling a little bit sick from. I can drink as many of these. I could drink 2 or 3 of these and feel just fantastic and be like even more dialed in. And I do that frequently. But the point is that you may have a lot of mold in your system. So you being a super unique individual with a unique history and a unique DNA, you just find out by taking it. And I know some people who drank a whole bottle and they dumped garbage out of their system for a day and a half. They couldn't believe how much came out of their system until they saw how much came out and how horrible that stuff was. Whereas other people who are in the health space and have done a lot of detox, no, they don't feel that. They just feel energized. Because when you're starting to connect those trillions of neurological connections throughout your whole body, because your brain up the calculator up here, and then the mission-driven stuff in your heart, and then your intuition, gut instincts down here, everything gets super connected. And so it just simply is fuel for your body intelligence to start with. But it also clarifies things. So it gets a lot of things that are in the way. If a person's full of fungus, which is simply mold, so mold produces the fungus in the system, or if they have yeast overgrowth like candida, those are the brain fog things, the things that have slowly lowered the person's body intelligence to a point where it's very dull. And so when they wake it up, they realize, wow, I didn't know I had gone down so far. This is what I'm supposed to be like. Okay. And so it teaches them what their body is really supposed to feel like. And it goes back to nothing feels as great as feeling great. And so we were all about that feel the real feel. How are you, is it sustainable? Is it sort of a flash in the pan, or is it a long-term getting yourself up to a very acute level of intelligence and staying there? That's what this is all about.
So when we speak about, this is fuel for intelligence of the body. Could you give me a list of things how that, what type of things this would improve? For an example, I mean, if we cut ourselves, our body will naturally heal itself. So maybe iodine will increase the process or speed up the process, or, you might have a better sleep, or your memory is increased, or, could you give me more examples of what kind of intelligence this increases in your body?
Yeah. So what it's doing is getting access to that intelligence. So you actually already have it in you. It's all there. There's just certain things that have blocked it. If you don't have enough iodine in your system and you have a cut, it doesn't heal nearly as fast. As soon as you start spraying it on there, it heals rapidly, because that's one of the major elements that the body uses. Because, you think about a cut as a potential infection site. So then the immune system has to get bandwidth taken from it to go and deal with that. That's why it gets it all swollen and red and the problems that happen around that. So there's a focus area. So when you give the fuel right there, plus you have the fuel internally, it's going to speed up that process. It burns, cuts, scrapes, abrasions, blemishes. So people who suffer from acne, for example, they just take the bottle and just spray it 2 or 3 times a day on their face for a couple of weeks, and voila, nice clear skin. Because it's simply your body's using that to get ahead of the curve. So your body is always trying to repair itself. You think about inflammatory foods that you eat. Maybe your body's oxidizing too quickly and it's causing you to age too fast. Well, at least you want to be able to repair as quickly as you're damaged, at least. And what happens, though, is because of a lack of elements, the body falls behind. And then you'll see people aging a day at a time up to 20 years old, and they would love to continue aging a day at a time. But as they age, they start aging 2 days at a time, 4 days at a time. You'll see someone at 60 years old and then see them at 70, and you go like, whoa, what happened to you? Because they've completely changed. Their body has literally fallen apart. They look 30, 40 years older in 10 years because they fell behind the curve. So our whole objective is not only to just break even. We always want to be ahead of the curve a little bit. So we're repairing quicker than we're being damaged. And that's this whole avoiding the rusting situation. Your DNA damage wants to be repaired quicker. So we know that, like I say, none of this stuff cures anything. Anybody who runs around and says, oh, this is the cure-all, they've got the wrong understanding entirely, because the body is always trying to go back to its original top blueprint. It just always wants to be there. And so it's seeking to achieve that. If I've allowed myself to be poisoned with lead or mercury or cadmium, or I wasn't paying attention to my environmental stressors, or I'm sticking a cell phone to my head all day long and I'm getting radiated, these are damaging effects. So I have to learn how to compensate if I'm going to do something wrong. But I would rather eliminate the things that I found out were damaging me, and then bring the elements in that will allow my body to speed heal. It's all about speed healing. And when I was 46 years old, I had the biological age of an 84-year-old, and I was going to be taken off the earth in about 1,000 days, about 3 years, because I didn't know how to manage myself. I didn't know how to manage my body. And I got myself into a situation where I was overwhelmed, complete overwhelm. I had a tumor growing in the bottom of my abdomen that blew right out. It took me 5 years to get rid of that. Would not allow surgery, did not want anything to do with the medical interventions on that thing, because they could never tell me where it came from. I would say, well, how come I have this? I don't know. There's lots of these every year. We do thousands of these operations a year. I go, okay, that's a great answer. Why do I have it? Well, I don't know. You're, 40-something years old guy, and this happens, and guys die of heart attacks all the time in their 40s. The first sign of heart disease is a funeral. It's like, oh, that's encouraging. So that must mean that I must not know what's going on. So to have the wisdom and the knowledge where you can have no surprise heart attacks, no surprise cancer diagnosis, no surprise strokes, and you could have the knowledge to have that, that's the ideal place to be. So you don't have these super interrupters that can take you out unexpectedly. And that's where I was at 46, like totally clueless about how to manage my body. And what am I supposed to do? Go to a doctor and they tell me how to manage my body? Well, that's an option. That's what most people do. I watched my 2 uncles when I was 20 years old on my mom's side, and I looked like one of them because I took more after my mom's side than my dad. And they both died at 51 and 54 years old, 2 days apart in September 1978, both of cancer. And this is in 78 when they didn't have access to what we have now. And they did exactly what the doctors instructed them. They took the surgeries, the chemistries, the whatever, and they died right on schedule. And so here I am, 26 years later, which isn't very long, at 46, facing the same things, being told the same things from doctors in Toronto, going, dude, like, this is messed up. This is 2004. What's up? There got to be something else out here. And why would I have a mentor, an advisor, someone who's giving me a treatment who can basically guarantee I'm going to be dead in X amount of time? And if I don't do it, they say I'm going to be dead even sooner. It's like, oh yeah, perfect. Really? No, this is so messed up. So that's where I had to go through this massive wake up. I found out that I was full of fungus. Like my body was loaded. I had yeast overgrowth with this candida that blew right outside my skin. I was 90 pounds overweight. I had, heavy metal poisoning, mercury from the fillings over the years, mercury from just general environmental problems, cadmium, tons of lead. I worked in the oil field for 17 years, and every connection in the oil field is using lead pipe dope. It's like this lead paste. Man, dude, they don't tell you. Like, duh, you can't even touch lead, and it's everywhere. So anyway, it was really cool because I had nowhere else to go. I had nothing to lose. And I came to the point where I was willing to do whatever it takes. I literally said that I will do whatever it takes. I will spend whatever amount of money, time, energy. I will suffer at whatever level I'm required to suffer at. I will have as much fun as I'm supposed to have. I will travel to whoever. And if I find people who are at the top level of understanding of each category, I will sit down, shut up, and listen. And I will not be prejudiced and with my own, know-it-all thinking. And I will completely, like, I always want a blank canvas. I just want to know. And there's good, great, greater, and greatest. And the greatest is the only place to be, because not so that we're the greatest, but so that we have tapped into the greatest levels of knowledge, because there's really only two levels. My friend Bo Eason always says 2 levels in life. There's top level and everything underneath. Once you tap into the top level, why would you want anything else? So when I started this health journey, I wanted to take responsibility myself to make sure that I would provide for others what I wanted. What I wanted was this thing. I wanted the very best of the best. I wanted to spend the least amount of time, energy, and money. And I wanted to have it at a very affordable rate, right? So that's what I want. And if that's what I want, and that's what I was seeking, and slowly those things came into the picture. And most of the stuff that came along was filtered out because they didn't match that profile. And then once you have that, you can then let people know what that is. And that's how our business got started. And we became a primary manufacturer of natural products in Canada. And we ship product all over the world because of just letting that happen, putting that bar really high, and then saying, I don't know how to get over the bar, but I know people who do. They're out there. I don't know who they are. I don't know how to find them, but they're there. And with that knowledge, we were just slowly led, through all these interesting synchronicities. And you meet this person and they introduce you to that person. And then the discernment comes in to be able to tell what meets that category bar or not. And that's it. So wow. It's simple.
So how old did you say you was?
I'm 63 right now.
Wow. Because you look 53, and I'm not exaggerating. You look 10 years younger, honestly. So does this also help with the way you look as well?
Oh yeah, it totally changes your whole vibe, because the vibe is you, who you really are inside, is going to come across. The physical interface, even I wouldn't even care if I look 73. It's the biological age. It's the glow. It's the youthfulness. It's the enthusiasm and the joy for life. That's what drives you. Think about it, right? Think about a little child coming on the earth and they're just full of all the serotonin's blocked and they're just excited and everything's exciting. And they're so curious and they're learning so quick, and they see fireworks and it blows their mind. That's the level that we want to be at all the time, where we're excited about the possibilities of who are you? What are we doing here? And what are these physical bodies? Obviously, we're a spirit being inside this physical body, that's for sure, because this body's not me. People say, I have cancer. I go, no, you don't. your body might have been diagnosed with cancer. It's probably not even a correct diagnosis. I was diagnosed with that. It was a total false diagnosis. It was wrong.
Mhm.
It was just heavy metals and mold and fungus and whatever causing all kinds of infections in my body with these things growing that they wanted to cut out. You know, when you go about it, when you go about it the right way, it took 5 years. All that tumor that was between my legs shrunk down to just scar tissue. And then when I finally got rid of the thing that asked for that to be there, which was other things in my body that use that to move it out, it dissolved my body completely. It dissolved it. I have no evidence of that in my body at all. Whereas if they would have snipped it out, scar tissue, attached to the large intestine, colon cancers, all these things that people end up getting that kills them. So it's just, I don't want anything invading my system. I learned 15 years ago to move away from pharmaceutical drugs, right? It's sorcery. Stay away from it. Yeah, I don't require them. I'm not deficient in those drugs. There's a root cause of whatever it is. And you just have to go back and find the root cause and find the natural element that your body has used to support that. So it's not that I don't want pharmaceuticals. I literally can't have them. I'm at a sensitivity level with my body having been completely cleaned out. I cannot have anything contaminating my system.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you've got, so what you're saying is it's not the cure, but iodine is something that increases the intelligence of your body, because our bodies, without all of the deep state corruption and big pharma poisons, etc., in our foods, if we were to take that out, our bodies naturally have the tools and resources to fight, whatever illnesses we have. And you're saying that iodine restores that intelligence.
100%. And because your body's fighting a losing battle if it's behind the curve. And the body is an amazing detox machine. Think of people who have really powerful constitutions and good genetics. They can party their face off, drink their face off, and live till 95 and have almost no problems, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's very rare, but they do exist. So depending on what our cards are dealt to us, my cards were not the best because I'm more sensitive. I would have a tendency to fall apart a lot quicker than someone else if I'm not doing the right thing. But yeah, the environmental contamination, and you mentioned the foods. Of course, foods are loaded because they're loaded at the farm level. They're loaded from the air of all the stuff they spray in the air above us. There's the stuff in the water from the Second World War onwards, the fluorides and the chloramines and the chlorides. I mean, just the bromides. Instead of they used to put iodide in bread and beer. That got replaced 30 years ago with bromide. Why? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. Bromide goes into the receptor sites that the thyroid has open for iodide and plugs them up so the iodide can't even get in there. So what's that all about? It's just a matter of learning, getting it back to the simple levels. Anything great takes something very complicated and makes it super simple. And you do this, and this. You follow that protocol, and your body comes back online again. And you don't know what you don't know until you get it back. And so I did not truly understand this. I could read, there's so much science behind this stuff. It is one of the most studied things in medical history as well as naturopath history is the iodine molecule. But I didn't understand it at all, really, until I drank it. And once I had it in my system, it was like, oh, that's what that is. Cool. All right, this is like the number one most important raw element at the baseline. Now, the second most important one is magnesium. And it comes in another liquid form that you put into your skin. So you can put it in anywhere in your body you want. Within 30 to 60 seconds, it's going into your circulation system to be used. And it's a remarkable element as well. So the magnesium and the iodine go hand in hand because magnesium is what allows your body, your muscles to relax. And the studies on magnesium are around 25 years. It's not as extensive as iodine, but it was discovered that there are 330 plus biochemical reactions that happen to keep us functioning. They require magnesium as what they call the master mineral. So it's another connector for electromagnetic frequency within your body for biophoton production. That's where the glow comes from. Like if you got the glow, that means your biophotons are up. So it's not about how long your body's been alive, because we're really infinitely living 21-year-olds. There's the real being ourselves. we're like a 21-year-old. Our
Yeah.
bodies, right? So I'm not 63. My body is 63. I am 21. You are
I gotta
21.
say, for your age, I can see a glow. Yeah, I can see your forehead, the color of your skin as well, and even the texture of your skin. You look really healthy,
Mhm.
from
Yeah,
this.
for sure. And sometimes looks can be very tricky because sometimes people have that and they're very unhealthy inside. It doesn't always necessarily mean, but in my condition, I can show you a picture from when I was 46. It's like, who's that? I didn't even recognize that guy anymore. Pasty, sick inside, overweight, bloated, terrible skin, big pores. I had cystic acne when I was a kid. I did not have good skin. And the body, will repair rapidly over time, depending on how efficient you are and how much you know. So it's like getting to the definitive stuff. What moves the needle the most, the fastest, without harm? Because I don't want to be jacking my body up and then harming myself down the road, not realizing, oh wow, I just made my 12-cylinder engine rev at 9,000 RPM for too long. Because there's that whole world out there that's accessible. It's called nootropics. And I don't know what the long-term effects of those are.
Right.
I find it way higher functioning just with the natural elements that do no harm that they know about. So that's where we live.
So let me ask you this: I'm 31 years old, and there's nothing wrong with me. I have a sort of balanced, healthy lifestyle, and I was to buy or use one of to use iodine. How often and how much do I take? Is it a daily thing? Is it a weekly thing? What do I do?
And it's definitely a daily thing. There are certain must-haves on a daily basis. So you would think of each day as a lifetime. You raise from the dead in the morning, you're awake, you go all day long, you go through your midlife and your twilight years, and then you pass away at night and go into sleep and restore, and you come up the next day. So I see every day as a lifetime. We've had thousands of lifetimes. And at 31, you're in a fantastic position because you already have a great deal of knowledge on how to do a lot of things more than a lot of people your age. So you've already been doing the right thing to get yourself to where you are now. But even at that, I learned there is, think about the way that the medical world explains stages. So stage 4 cancer, terminal, you're going to die. You got to do this and this and this. What about stage 3? Well, very few people ever find out they have cancer at stage 3. Okay, what about stage 2 and stage 1? What about stage 0? Nobody ever talks about stage 0, 1, or 2. They only talk about 3 and 4. Well, what's with that? There is stage 0 cancer. You and I have stage 0 cancer today. We don't have it at all. It's not existing in our body. Our body immediately identifies a cancer cell and eliminates it immediately because our immune systems are strong. Now, when you turn 20, 21 years old or so, your body stopped being able to produce the right elements to balance uric acid, for example. Now, your body has to have uric acid as part of your whole system. But if you don't flush the amount of uric acid out properly to have the exact amount your body needs at all times, it starts to burn your kidneys. You don't feel that at all. That is stage 0.5. And then as you get older, it goes stage 1, keeps going up because you're not paying attention. You don't know. It's in the background. You can't feel it yet, right? Stage 2, stage 2.5, stage 2.9. At stage 3.0, you go, man, I got this pain in my foot. Oh, that's gout. Oh, gout, what's that? Oh, that's from uric acid. Uric acid, what's that? And then arthritis. So what happened is for 30 years between 20 and 50, it was burning in the background. You didn't know. If you could go back to 20 and take the exact supplement to balance your uric acid, you would, because you're in the Chinese medicine world, kidneys are your life force, your Jing energy. That's like your battery. How long are you going to live is how healthy your kidneys are. So when there's something was burning in the background, you didn't know, you felt just perfectly fine. But at 50, this thing showed up. That means you're at stage 3 already. Stage 4 will kill you. It's like magnesium deficiency. People at stage 3, they start to get heart palpitations. They get sore joints and stiff muscles, and they get poor sleep, and they get headaches, and they get a bit of anxiety, and they don't know why. And it's all based on low magnesium levels. Well, that's stage 3. So then people take the magnesium. Oh, I got to fix that. I got to get rid of it. And after 90 days, the symptoms are gone. They're only back at stage 2.9. What about taking it back to stage 0 point something, where it's never going to bother you? Because in the background, there's always an effect on whatever you're doing. And it's the unseen world that you've always got to remember is there. The automated systems. How did I get there? If you're already at stage 3, that's not cool. Keep going. I use this every day until I was like perfect. And then I keep using it to keep myself in that perfect place. As much as I can, obviously, perfection is pretty
right. So if I took iodine and magnesium every day of my life, at a very sensible level,
yes,
would that reduce the chances of me from getting cancer and any other illnesses?
Yeah, well, your body doesn't want to get cancer. It doesn't get cancer per se. You have to let your body fall behind. So deficiencies are everything. That's the deal. So you remember, this stuff doesn't keep you from getting cancer. Your body keeps you from getting cancer. But if your body runs out of fuel, it's like, I don't know what to do. It's a car that doesn't get its oil changed, or it runs on really bad gas, or the gas sat in the tank for a year and didn't drive. Then you go out and try to drive it. It's like, whoa, it's all gummed up and things aren't working right. So it's like that. It's just a matter of making sure your body is lubricated. Think of the cells in your body. Every cell has a lipid membrane, whether it's a bone cell, a brain cell, a heart cell, it doesn't matter. It's got a lipid membrane. That's got oil in that. A lipid is an oil, it's a fat. And that's the transfer mechanism to get nutrients in and to expel waste. Because the cell at the mitochondrial level is going to be using the nutrients for fuel to create ATP energy. That gives you your energy throughout the day. So depending on the cleanness of the fuel you're putting in is how much exhaust is coming out. If you just had only food that just burnt perfectly and but it was metabolized and there was no smoke at all, that's the ideal. There are different nutrients like that. But oil, so we have this whole line of oils that we produce that come from seeds, like black seed oil, which is simply black cumin. It's a spice. You press the oil out of that. But when you press the oil, you have to press it so it doesn't damage the oil, because most of the oils we consume, especially in packaged goods, like packaged foods or overcooked meals, or the fat that gets damaged by heat, we consume it. The body has to use that, has no choice, if that's the only oil you're giving it. As soon as you bring a perfectly pressed oil, and that's what we call it, perfect pressed oil, perfectly pressed with no damage in its original condition in a proper package so it doesn't go off, and you consume that, immediately your body intelligence goes, oh, this is different. This is really high quality. Good, I'll use this. And so over the course of 90 to 120 days, you do a complete oil change in your body. So these are another elemental thing, a type of fuel. And the oil itself carries nutrients that the cell uses as well. So not only does it replace this lipid membrane on every cell, and think about membrane, memory brain. The cell remembers how to work perfectly. If it's a heart cell, it acts like a heart cell. If the immune system is working, it doesn't go autoimmune and kill you, right? So body intelligence, again, it's going to go back to that every time. So your body intelligence is there just waiting for you to learn enough about how to deal with this and to have the supplies. It's just raw materials. That's all I call it. People go, you mean like, yeah, raw materials, nutrients, every type, essential fatty acids, essential amino acids, your lipids, your pigments, the plant minerals. Your body's shielded by minerals, shielded against these 5G towers and against all this stuff. If you're low on minerals, your shield is down. Mm-hmm. Then you get miscommunication and synapse messed up, and your myelin sheath gets compromised, and people end up getting MS and all this ALS and whatever else they get because they fell behind the curve. So all we want to do is, this is the healing machine right here.
Exactly. You just got to make sure that it's in function properly with the right tools, if you like, a bit like, the example you gave with fixing cars. So iodine and magnesium, right? So Ian, how do people get in contact with you if they have further questions?
Well, we've got a fairly broad spectrum amount of information. We're building a YouTube channel right now as well, but it's not up yet. But people, if they go to, and this is just the most basic place to go, is shop.activationproducts.com. So the name of our company is Activation Products. The depth of the company is the knowledge. The complementary part of the company is the raw materials we produce for people to consume from a natural standpoint. So shop.activationproducts.com. And then they can go through and see some of the different packages that they can utilize for their body operating system. And if they subscribe to our list, then we provide an ongoing amount of information that people can use. The information is the most valuable thing.
Right. Excellent.
And,
Well, what I'll do, Ian, thank you so much for being on my show. It's an absolute honor to have this knowledge and education within, with the products that is really good for our bodies. I will happily leave the link below. If you can send me a link where the viewers can have a look, I will gladly put the link below in the description. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to the viewers before we finish?
Oh, well, one other thing which I didn't mention, if people actually want to buy for some products from us, there will be a coupon code alongside the link that they can get a really healthy discount so that they can try the products out. And otherwise, definitely connect on the email list, because that connects you then further deeper in to different private sessions that we have, like webinar style, and where I go online and there's questions and answers that people can ask any question they want. And we give the actual answer rather than trying to, make up some fancy story with clinical trials and white papers and everything. People just want to know what works and doesn't work. And then when they find out things work, then it's a confidence. So it's a faithfulness, right? So we have to be faithful to people to give the truth that's actually going to help them. And then that builds faith in us and them and us, so that we can build that level of people's confidence. But the biggest thing is, I would want to tell everyone, it is your responsibility to take command. You are the CEO of your own health. You have every right to be that. You don't just do everything anybody tells you to do, but you can use intelligent information to make intelligent decisions. And that's what we're here to provide, is the defined, distilled down, like cream off the top, most important info. And that's what we strive to achieve, to provide for everyone.
Absolutely. No, I always say, if you want to exercise or eat healthy or make a choice that will benefit your health, we never, ever look back and regret it. It's just the best investment you can ever make. Not even money can buy. But Ian Clark, thank you so, so much for your time. It's been an absolute honor, and we'll speak again very soon. God bless you.
And God bless you, Nicholas. Thank you.